The massive ship moved through space like a silent mountain. Admiral Corvin stood on the bridge, his gray hands clasped behind his back as he watched the star charts update on the main screen. The ship belonged to the Galactic Coalition, but everyone knew the Coalition was just another name for the hegemony. They controlled thousands of worlds across this part of the galaxy, and they were always looking for more. "Sir, we have found something," called out Lieutenant Voss from his station. His voice carried the usual boredom of someone who had done this job for many years. Finding new worlds was routine work now. Most were empty rocks or gas giants with nothing useful. Corvin walked over to look at the display. A small yellow star appeared on the screen, with several planets orbiting around it. The third planet from the star glowed blue and green. "Waterworld," he said. "Any signs of life?" Voss tapped his controls, and more information appeared. "Yes, sir. The planet shows clear signs of a developing species. They have basic technology. Radio signals, primitive spacecraft, some industrial activity." Corvin nodded. This was exactly what the hegemony looked for. Worlds with life were always more valuable than empty ones. The species could be relocated to work colonies, and the planet could be properly developed. "How advanced are they?" "Very primitive, sir. They still use chemical rockets to reach orbit. Their weapons appear to be based on explosive projectiles. In basic energy systems, no faster-than-light travel detected, no energy shields. They seem to be confined to their home planet and a few small satellites." The Admiral smiled. This would be an easy acquisition. The hegemony had conquered hundreds of worlds with similar technology levels. Most species surrendered quickly once they saw the power of advanced starships. Those that didn't surrender learned to regret their choice. "Send the data to command," Corvin ordered. "Request a subjugation fleet. Standard size should be enough for a species this primitive." While the Admiral made his plans, life continued normally on the small blue planet below. Dr. Alina Rodriguez worked late at her radio telescope, listening to signals from deep space. She was one of Earth's leading scientists in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. For 30 years, she had pointed her instruments at the stars, hoping to find proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. Tonight felt different. Her equipment was picking up strange patterns in the radio spectrum. Signals were too organized to be natural phenomena, but they didn't match any known sources. Alina adjusted her instruments and tried different frequencies. The patterns remained consistent. Something was out there, and it was transmitting in a way that suggested intelligence. Alina reached for her phone to call her supervisor, then stopped. She had reported false alarms before. Radio interference from satellites reflected signals from Earth's own transmissions, equipment malfunctions. Each time, she had been wrong. Her colleagues were already skeptical of her work. Another false alarm might end her career. She decided to gather more data first. Alina worked through the night, recording everything her instruments detected. The signals grew stronger as the hours passed. Whatever was transmitting these patterns was getting closer to Earth. On the other side of the planet, Captain Tom Williams prepared for another routine patrol mission. He commanded a squadron of military spacecraft, the most advanced ships Earth had ever built. They were proud achievements of human engineering, capable of reaching the outer planets in a matter of months. To Tom and his crew, they represented the cutting edge of technology. Tom checked his instruments as his squadron launched from the lunar base. Their mission was simple: patrol the outer edge of the solar system and watch for any unusual activity. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Space was vast and mostly empty, but Earth's governments wanted to know if anything ever changed. "All units, this is Eagle 1, Tom spoke into his radio, beginning standard patrol pattern. "Keep your sensors active and report anything unusual." His squadron spread out in formation and began their sweep of the outer solar system. For hours, they found nothing but the usual readings from planets, asteroids, and cosmic radiation. Tom was beginning to think this would be another quiet mission, when his sensors detected something strange near Jupiter. "Eagle 1, this is Eagle 3, came a voice over the radio. "I'm getting some odd energy readings out here. Could be equipment malfunction, but you might want to take a look." Tom guided his ship toward his wingman's position. Its own sensors began picking up the same readings. There was definitely something there, something that didn't belong in there. Solar system. The energy signature was unlike anything in Earth's databases. All units fall back to minimum safe distance, Tom ordered. I'm calling this into command. Back at Hegemony headquarters, Commander Vex received his orders with satisfaction. He was an experienced officer who had led successful conquests. On 17 different worlds, the mission brief for this new planet looked routine. A primitive species with basic technology, no significant military capability, no allies in the region. X selected a small fleet for the operation. 3 heavy cruisers and a dozen support ships should be more than enough to convince the natives to surrender. He had seen this pattern many times before. Primitives would panic when they saw advanced starships. Their governments would argue among themselves, and within a few days, they would accept hegemony rule rather than face destruction. Estimated time to subjugation? Asked his second-in-command. Standard projection is 3 to 5 rotations, Vex replied. These humans have no experience with interstellar warfare. They will surrender quickly once they understand the futility of resistance. The commander was confident in his assessment. Every species the hegemony had encountered followed predictable patterns. Those with advanced technology put up organized resistance, but were eventually overwhelmed by superior numbers and firepower. Primitive species like these humans usually gave up without a real fight. The hegemony fleet prepared to depart for the small blue world. In their databases, Earth was classified as Target 7751, a minor acquisition with minimal strategic value. The planet would provide some useful resources and a workforce for the labor colonies. It was exactly the kind of routine operation that kept the hegemony's expansion machine running smoothly. Neither Admiral Corvin nor Commander Dex had bothered to study human history in detail. Their analysts had focused on current technology levels and military capabilities. They knew humans fought wars among themselves, but that was common among primitive species. What they didn't understand was how those wars had shaped humanity. Over thousands of years, Earth's history was written in conflict, ice ages that forced adaptation or death, natural disasters that scattered populations and forced them to rebuild, predators that hunted early humans and made them develop new weapons and strategies. Unlike most species in the galaxy, humans had evolved in an environment of constant challenge and change. The hegemony had studied human technology, but they had not studied the human spirit. They saw chemical rockets and projectile weapons, but they missed the creativity that built those systems from nothing. They counted ships and soldiers, but they didn't measure determination and adaptability. As the alien fleet moved toward Earth, both sides prepared for what they thought would be a simple encounter. The hegemony expected easy victory over a primitive species. Humanity didn't even know an invasion was coming. Soon, both sides would learn how wrong their assumptions had been. The alien ships appeared near Jupiter like dark storms against the starfield. Commander Vex watched from his flagship's bridge as his fleet took position in the outer solar system. The human homeworld was still millions of kilometers away, but his sensors could already detect the panic spreading across their communication networks. "Sir, we are receiving multiple transmissions from the third planet," reported his communications officer. "They appear to be trying to contact us in several different languages." Vex nodded. This was standard behavior for primitive species. First came curiosity, then fear, then desperate attempts at communication. Ignore them for now. Let them worry for a few hours. Fear makes the surrender negotiations much easier. On Earth, President Maria Santos stood in the emergency command. Centered deep beneath Washington, the room buzzed with activity as military officers, scientists, and government officials tried to make sense of what was happening. The alien ships were massive, each one larger than Earth's biggest space stations. "How many ships do we count?" Santos asked General Morrison, the head of Earth's combined military forces. 15 confirmed, possibly more," Morrison replied. "Our deep space sensors are having trouble getting accurate readings at this distance. But the smallest of their ships is at least 10 times larger than our biggest spacecraft." Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at a bank of computers, analyzing the signals coming from the alien fleet. Her equipment had been tracking unusual transmissions for weeks, but she had never imagined they came from ships like these. The technology readings were beyond anything Earth possessed. "They're using energy systems we don't understand," Alina reported to the room. "Their power output is enormous, but the energy patterns don't match any known physics. We need more time to analyze their capabilities." General Morrison shook his head. "We may not have time. Intelligence suggests they could reach Earth in a matter of days if they choose to advance." Captain Tom Williams piloted his fighter squadron as close to the alien fleet as he dared. His ships were laughably small compared to the massive alien vessels, but Earth needed intelligence about these intruders. His sensors gathered what data they could, while staying outside the range of any possible weapons. "Command, this is Eagle 1, Tom transmitted. "The alien ships show no immediate hostile movement, but they're definitely military vessels. I can see weapon ports and some kind of energy projectors. These aren't exploration ships." The response from Earth came quickly. "Eagle 1, maintain safe distance and continue observation. Do not engage unless fired upon. We need to know what we're dealing with." Tom acknowledged the order, but privately wondered what his small squadron could do against ships that size, even if they were ordered to attack. Earth's most advanced weapons were nuclear missiles, and he doubted they would do much damage too. Vessels that could cross interstellar space. After 6 hours of silence, the alien fleet finally responded to Earth's communication attempts. Commander Thex activated the translation systems and broadcast his message on all human frequencies. His words reached every radio, television, and computer network on the planet simultaneously. "People of the third planet, I am Commander Thex. Of the Galactic Hegemony, your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You will immediately surrender all military assets and prepare for evaluation and relocation. Resistance will result in the destruction of your species. You have 24 of your time units to comply." The message sent shockwaves around the globe. Every government on Earth received the same ultimatum. Every human being with access to communication networks heard the same demand: surrender or face extinction. Santos called an emergency meeting of world leaders. Within hours, representatives from every major nation gathered via secure video conference. The debate was intense, but brief. Earth's governments had many differences, but they agreed on one thing: humanity would not surrender without a fight. "We need to buy time," Santos told the assembly. "Our scientists need to study their technology and find weaknesses. Our military needs to prepare defenses. We'll tell them we're considering their terms while we get ready." General Morrison began coordinating Earth's scattered military forces. Armies that had trained to fight each other now worked together against a common enemy. Nuclear weapons that had once been aimed at rival nations were redirected toward the alien threat. It wasn't much, but it was all Earth had. Dr. Alina Rodriguez worked frantically with teams of scientists around the world. They analyzed every signal coming from the alien ships, looking for any information that might help. The technology was far beyond human understanding, but Alina noticed something interesting in the energy patterns. Their shields seemed to cycle in a specific pattern, she told her research team. "There might be brief windows when they're vulnerable. We need more data to be sure, but it's something." Commander Thex waited for the human response with growing impatience. Most primitive species surrendered within hours of receiving the ultimatum. The few that didn't usually sent desperate pleas for mercy or tried to negotiate better terms for their people. The humans were doing something different. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet," his communications officer reported. The human leader appeared on the main screen. She looked calm and determined, not terrified like most primitive leaders when faced with hegemony power. "Commander Thex, I am President Santos of Earth. We have received your ultimatum and are discussing your terms. We need additional time to coordinate a response among our various governments. We request a 3-day extension." Thex almost laughed. Humans thought they could negotiate. "You have 2 additional rotations, no more. Use this time wisely. Surrender is your only option." What the commander didn't realize was that Earth was using the time for more than discussion. Military bases around the world activated emergency protocols. Underground bunkers that had been built during the Cold War were reopened and converted into command centers. Civilian scientists joined military searchers and crash programs to develop new weapons. The first breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A team of graduate students studying the alien signals discovered that human radio equipment could actually interfere with some of the alien transmissions. The interference was minor, but it proved that human technology could affect alien systems. Captain Tom Williams received new orders to probe the alien defenses. His squadron was equipped with modified missiles carrying experimental equipment designed by Elena's research team. The missiles weren't meant to cause damage, but to test whether human technology could penetrate alien shields. "This is a reconnaissance mission only," Tom told his pilots. "We fire the test missiles and get out fast. We're not trying to win a battle, just gather information." The attack was carefully planned. Tom's squadron approached from the direction of Jupiter, using the planet's gravity and radiation to mask their approach. They launched their missiles at maximum range and immediately began evasive maneuvers. The alien response was swift and overwhelming. Energy beams lanced out from the hegemony ships, destroying most of the missiles before they could reach their targets. But 3 missiles made it through the defensive fire and struck the alien shields. The explosions were tiny against the massive alien ships, but the sensor data they provided was invaluable. Dr. Rodriguez and her team analyzed every detail of the impact. The alien shields had flickered for just a fraction of a second, but it was proof that they could be disrupted. Commander Vex was more annoyed than concerned by the human attack. The primitive missiles had barely registered on his ship's sensors. But the fact that the humans had attacked at all was troubling. Most species didn't dare to fire on hegemony vessels even when facing extinction. "Prepare a demonstration strike," Dex ordered. "Destroy one of their orbital installations. Something visible but not critical to their survival. They need to understand the consequences of resistance." The alien ships moved closer to Earth, their massive forms now visible to orbital telescopes. Dex selected an abandoned space station, in high orbit, as his target. A single energy beam lanced out from his flagship. The station vanished in a brief flash of light. The demonstration had the opposite effect from what Dex intended. Instead of terrifying humanity into submission, the destruction of the space station filled humans with rage. This was no longer about politics or territory. The aliens had shown they would destroy human achievements without hesitation. Underground facilities around Earth buzzed with activity. Scientists worked around the clock to unlock the secrets of alien technology. Military engineers designed new weapons based on the limited data available. Civilians volunteered for dangerous missions, offering to pilot experimental spacecraft or test untried equipment. Dr. Rodriguez made another discovery while studying the sensor data from Tom's attack. The alien ships used a form of quantum field manipulation for their shields and weapons. Human physics barely understood quantum mechanics, but Elena realized that meant the aliens might be vulnerable to quantum interference. "We can't match their technology," she told President Santos during a briefing, "but we might be able to disrupt it. If we can create the right kind of quantum static, their systems might fail temporarily." It was a desperate plan based on theoretical science, but it was better than nothing. Research teams around the world began work on quantum disruption devices, using principles that human science had only recently discovered. Commander Vex watched his tactical displays with growing confusion. The humans should have surrendered by now. Instead, their communication networks showed increased activity. Their military forces were mobilizing instead of standing down. Some of their spacecraft were actually moving toward his fleet instead of retreating. "These humans behave strangely," Vex told his officers. "Most primitive species understand when they are outmatched. Perhaps they need a stronger demonstration." The commander ordered his fleet to advance toward Earth's inner solar system. It was time to show the humans what hegemony power really meant. The invasion of Earth was about to begin in earnest. The first nuclear missiles launched from Earth. At dawn, Commander Vex watched them approach on his tactical display with something approaching amusement. Primitive fusion weapons against hegemony shields. The humans might as well have been throwing rocks at his ships. "Sir, the human missiles will reach us in 30 minutes," reported his weapons officer. "Should we destroy them? Let them hit?" Dex replied, "Let the humans see how useless their weapons are. Perhaps it will convince them to surrender." The nuclear explosions bloomed like small suns against the alien shields. For a few seconds, space around the hegemony ships blazed with atomic fire. When the light faded, the alien vessels remained completely undamaged. Their shields had absorbed the entire nuclear attack without even flickering. But Dr. Elena Rodriguez was watching her instruments carefully from the underground command center. The quantum sensors she had developed showed something the aliens couldn't see. Their shields had fluctuated for microseconds during the nuclear strikes. The effect was tiny, but it was measurable. The nuclear explosions created quantum interference, Elena reported to President Santos and General Morrison. "It's not enough to bring down their shields, but it proves our theory is correct. We can affect their technology." General Morrison looked at the tactical display showing Earth's remaining nuclear arsenal. "We have maybe 50 more warheads we can launch quickly. After that, we're down to conventional weapons." "Don't launch them yet," Elena said quickly. "Need more time. To study the interference patterns, we might be able to modify the warheads to create stronger quantum disruption." Commander Dex decided the humans had seen enough. Time to end this futile resistance. "Begin bombardment of their major population centers," he ordered. "Start with the largest cities. Continue until they surrender, or until there are no more targets worth destroying." The first alien energy beams struck London, New York, and Beijing simultaneously. The weapons were precisely targeted to destroy government and military facilities, while leaving most of the civilian population alive. Dead slaves were worthless to the hegemony, but terrified slaves were very useful. The attacks killed millions of people in seconds. But instead of breaking human resistance, the bombardment had the opposite effect. Governments that had been arguing about surrender plans now spoke with one voice: fight to the end. Underground bunkers became command centers. Subway tunnels became military bases. Humanity went underground and prepared for total war. Captain Tom Williams received orders that would have seemed impossible a week earlier. Earth's remaining space forces were going to attack the alien fleet directly. It was suicide. But Earth needed more data about alien technology, and the only way to get it was to fight the aliens up close. "Listen up, people," Tom told his expanded squadron during the mission briefing. "We're not trying to win this battle, we're trying to learn. Get as close as you can, record everything your sensors can detect, and try to stay alive long enough to transmit the data back to Earth." The modified human spacecraft launched from hidden bases on the Moon and Mars. They had been equipped with Elena's latest quantum disruption devices, experimental weapons that might or might not work against alien technology. The pilots knew they probably wouldn't return, but they flew their missions anyway. Tom led his fighters in a desperate charge against the nearest hegemony cruiser. The alien ship was enormous, bristling with weapons that could destroy his entire squadron in seconds. But the humans had one advantage. They were too small and fast for the alien weapons to track easily. "Deploy quantum scramblers on my mark," Tom ordered, as his squadron approached the alien ship. 3, 2, 1, mark. The human ships released their experimental weapons. Instead of explosions, the devices created fields of quantum interference that spread around the alien ship like invisible fog. For just a moment, the hegemony vessel's shields flickered and weakened. "Now, hit them with everything we have," shouted. Human missiles and energy weapons struck the alien ship where its shields had failed. The damage was minor, barely scoring the alien hull, but it was damage. For the first time since the invasion began, human weapons had actually hurt an alien ship. The alien response was swift and deadly. Energy beams lanced out, destroying most of Tom's squadron in seconds. But 3 of his pilots managed to fly their damaged ships directly into the alien vessel's shield generators, overloading them with their quantum scramblers. The hegemony cruiser's shields failed completely for almost 30 seconds. In that brief window, nuclear missiles launched from Earth struck the unprotected ship. The alien vessel didn't explode, but it was badly damaged and began drifting helplessly. "Impossible," Commander Dex stared at his tactical display in shock. A hegemony cruiser had been damaged by primitive weapons, His shields had been penetrated by technology that barely qualified as spaceflight capable. How did they do this? The science officer was analyzing the human attack. Sir, they used some form of quantum interference device. Our shields are designed to stop energy and matter, but these devices disrupted the quantum fields that power our defensive systems. Dex felt something he had never experienced in 17 successful conquests. Doubt. Can we adapt our shields to resist this interference? Possibly, sir, but it will take time. And if the humans continue to develop this technology, they might find new ways to disrupt our systems. The damaged Hegemony cruiser crashed into Earth's Pacific Ocean. Within hours, human recovery teams were diving to the wreck, pulling alien technology from the ocean floor. It was dangerous work under constant attack from the remaining alien ships. But the prizes were beyond measure. Dr. Rodriguez examined the first intact alien systems brought to her laboratory. The technology was incredibly advanced, but it followed principles that human science was beginning to understand. More importantly, she could see how to make it better. Their quantum field generators are elegant but inflexible, Alina explained to her research team. They're designed for one specific purpose and can't adapt to new conditions. We can build systems that are less powerful but more adaptable. Working around the clock, human scientists began reverse engineering alien technology. They couldn't duplicate the advanced materials or energy sources, but they could understand the principles. And understanding was the first step toward innovation. The war entered a new phase as human resistance organized around the captured alien technology. Underground factories began producing quantum scramblers using modified alien components. Hidden shipyards started building new spacecraft that combined human creativity with alien science. Commander Vex found himself fighting an enemy unlike any he had encountered before. Other species either surrendered quickly or fought with predictable tactics. The humans seemed to learn and adapt with every battle. Weapons that worked against them once were useless the second time. Sir, the human ships are using new tactics, his tactical officer reported during the latest engagement. They're coordinating their quantum attacks to create overlapping interference fields. Our shields can't adapt fast enough. 3 more Hegemony ships had been damaged in the past week. The humans were still losing more ships than they destroyed, but they were learning to hurt their enemies. Worse, each crashed alien ship provided more technology for the humans to study and improve. Vex sent an urgent message to Admiral Corvin. The human resistance is stronger than anticipated. Request immediate reinforcements and authorization for total planetary sterilization. The response came back quickly. Reinforcements dispatched. Maintain orbital control until arrival. Do not destroy planet. Resource extraction remains priority. But orbital control was becoming harder to maintain. Human ships launched from hidden bases throughout the solar system, striking at Hegemony vessels and disappearing before retaliation could find them. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans had superior knowledge of their own star system. Captain Tom Williams, now commanding one of Earth's new hybrid spacecraft, led another raid against the alien fleet. His ship combined human engineering with captured alien technology in ways that confused enemy sensors. It looked like a human vessel, but moved like an alien ship and fought like nothing the Hegemony had ever seen. Target their communication arrays, Tom ordered his crew as they approached a Hegemony destroyer. If we can blind them, they can't coordinate their defenses. The attack succeeded beyond Tom's wildest hopes. The alien ship not only lost its communications but also suffered cascade failures in other systems. The hybrid human technology created feedback loops in the alien systems that the original designers had never anticipated. Dr. Rodriguez made another breakthrough while studying the latest recovered alien equipment. The Hegemony used standardized technology across their entire fleet. Every ship had similar systems, similar weaknesses, similar points of failure. They've been so successful for so long that they've stopped innovating, Elena realized. Their technology is advanced but static. They haven't had to adapt to new threats in centuries, but we adapt to new threats every day. Earth's resistance was evolving faster than the Hegemony could counter it. Human ships that had been laughably primitive a month ago now posed real threats to alien vessels. Weapons that had been useless against alien shields were being modified to exploit newly discovered weaknesses. Commander Thex watched his fleet strength diminish with each passing day. He still had more ships than the humans, but his advantage was shrinking. Worse, the humans seemed to become more dangerous with every defeat. They learned from their failures in ways that no other species had ever done. The humans were no longer the primitive species described in his mission briefing. They had become something new, something dangerous. And Vix was beginning to realize that he might have made the greatest mistake of his military career. Quiet Planet was quiet no more. Earth had become a forge where human determination was being tempered into something that could threaten the galaxy's greatest empire. Commander Thex had pushed the humans too far, and now they were pushing back. 1 year after the first alien ships appeared, Earth had become a world at war. The blue planet that had once seemed so peaceful now bristled with orbital defense platforms, hidden missile batteries, and shipyards that worked around the clock. Humanity had learned to fight among the stars, and they were getting better at it every day. Admiral Tom Williams stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance, Earth's first true starship. The vessel was a masterpiece of hybrid technology, combining alien engineering with human innovation in ways that had never been attempted before. Its quantum field generators could create shields that adapted in real time to enemy attacks. Its weapons could phase through alien defenses and strike at the heart of enemy systems. "Admiral, we have confirmation from the asteroid belt," reported his communications officer. "The mining platforms are operational and producing raw materials at triple the projected rate." Tom nodded with satisfaction. The war had forced humanity to expand into space faster than any peacetime program could have achieved. Asteroid mining, orbital manufacturing, and deep space construction had all become necessities for survival. The human presence in the solar system had grown from a few small stations to a vast network of industrial facilities. Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked from her laboratory aboard the Defiance, surrounded by displays showing the latest intelligence about hegemony technology. Over the past year, she had become Earth's leading expert on alien systems. Her teams had analyzed dozens of captured ships and developed countermeasures for every major hegemony weapon. "The new quantum scramblers are ready for deployment," Elena told Tom during their daily briefing. "These versions can not only disrupt alien shields, but also turn their own weapons against them. We're not just defending anymore, we're making their technology work for us." The breakthrough had come from studying a hegemony command ship that had been forced to land on Mars. The crew had destroyed most of the ship's systems before they died. But Elena's teams had recovered enough components to understand how alien technology really worked. More importantly, they had discovered how to make it work better. Commander Thex had been fighting the human resistance for a full year, and his fleet was now half the size it had been when the invasion began. Every battle cost him ships, while the humans seemed to grow stronger with each engagement. His requests for reinforcements had been answered, but even the additional ships weren't enough to maintain control of the entire solar system. "Sir, we're receiving reports of human attacks on our supply convoys," his intelligence officer reported. "They're using fast ships to hit our logistics vessels and then disappearing into the asteroid belt before we can respond." Studied the tactical display showing the locations of human raids. The attacks were coordinated and precise, targeting the most vulnerable points in his supply lines. The humans had learned to fight like guerrillas, using their knowledge of the solar system to strike where the hegemony was weakest. "How are they coordinating these attacks?" Vex demanded. "We've destroyed most of their communication satellites. They appear to be using quantum encrypted communication systems based on our own technology," came the reply. "We can detect the transmissions, but cannot decode them. They've modified our own communications protocols to work better than the originals." The realization hit Thix like a physical blow. The humans weren't just copying alien technology, they were improving it. In 1 year, they had advanced from chemical rockets to starships that could outfight hegemony vessels. It was impossible, but it was happening. President Maria Santos addressed the world from a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The surface cities had been evacuated or destroyed, but humanity's spirit had not been broken. If anything, the constant pressure of war had forged the scattered nations of Earth into something stronger and more unified than they had ever been before. My fellow humans, Santos spoke to cameras that would carry her words to every surviving human settlement. 1 year ago, we were divided by borders, languages, and old conflicts. Today, we stand united as one species, one people, one planet fighting for our freedom. We have learned to build ships that can cross the void between stars. We have learned to fight battles in the darkness of space. We have learned that no enemy, no matter how powerful, can defeat the human spirit. The speech was broadcast not just to Earth, but to human settlements throughout the solar system. Colonies on Mars, mining stations in the asteroid belt, and research outposts in the outer planets all received the message. Humanity had spread beyond Earth, ensuring that the species would survive even if the homeworld fell. Captain Lisa Park commanded one of the new human strike squadrons operating from a hidden base on Europa. Her ships were fast, heavily armed, and almost impossible to detect using standard hegemony sensors. They specialized in hit-and-run attacks on alien positions using tactics that had been perfected in Earth's long history of warfare. As target acquired, Park reported as her squadron approached a hegemony supply depot on one of Jupiter's moons. Initiating attack run. The human ships struck like lightning, their quantum weapons tearing through alien defenses before the enemy could respond. The depot's shields failed in seconds, and its weapons systems were overloaded by feedback from the human attack. In less than 10 minutes, the facility was completely destroyed. All units withdraw to Rally Point 7, Park ordered as hegemony. Reinforcements arrived. Mission accomplished. Her squadron vanished into the complex gravitational fields around Jupiter, using the planet's natural radiation to mask their escape. By the time the alien ships reached the depot, the human attackers were already light minutes away, preparing for their next mission.
Ow.
This pattern repeated throughout the solar system dozens of times each week. Human forces would strike at hegemony. Positions inflict maximum damage and disappear before retaliation could find them. The aliens had superior individual ships, but they were fighting on humanity's home territory against an enemy that knew every hiding place and escape route. Dr. Rodriguez made her most important discovery while examining the wreckage of a hegemony command ship. Hidden in the ship's memory banks were star charts showing the full extent of the alien empire. Thousands of worlds, millions of species, all under hegemony control. But the data also revealed something else. No other species had ever mounted effective resistance to the hegemony invasion. We're the first, Alina realized as she studied the historical records. In over 1,000 years of expansion, the hegemony has never faced a species that could fight back effectively. They've forgotten how to adapt to new threats because they've never had to. The information was shared with military commanders throughout the solar system. Humanity wasn't just fighting for Earth, they were fighting for every species that had ever been conquered by the hegemony. The war had taken on a new meaning that went far beyond simple survival. Admiral Tom Williams led the first human fleet to venture beyond the solar system. His ships were designed for interstellar travel, combining human engineering with captured alien technology to create vessels that could cross the void between stars. The fleet's mission was reconnaissance, but everyone knew it was also a test of humanity's ability to take the war to the enemy. All ships, this is defiance. Tom broadcast to his fleet as they prepared to enter hyperspace. We're going where no human has gone before. Stay alert, stay together, and remember, we're not just representing Earth anymore. We're showing the galaxy that humanity cannot be conquered. The human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the solar system for the first time in human history. Their destination was a hegemony supply base only 20 light-years from Earth. If the attack succeeded, it would prove that humanity could strike at the heart of the alien empire. Commander Vex received word of the human fleet's departure with growing alarm. His forces were barely maintaining control of Earth's solar system, and now the humans were taking their rebellion to other star systems. The situation was spiraling. Completely out of control, Sir Admiral Corvin is requesting a full status report, his communications officer announced. He wants to know why we haven't completed the subjugation of this system after a full year of operations, Dex composed his report carefully, knowing that his career and possibly his life depended on the Admiral's reaction. The humans have proven more adaptable than any previously encountered species, he wrote. They have developed countermeasures for all standard hegemony weapons and tactics. Their technology is advancing at rates that violate all known patterns of species development. The response from Admiral Corvin was swift and harsh. Your failures have become an embarrassment to the hegemony. I am taking personal command of this operation. Prepare for my arrival with the main battle fleet. Dex knew that Corvin's arrival meant his own disgrace, but he also felt a strange sense of relief. Let the Admiral face these impossible humans and see how easy conquest was supposed to be. Perhaps then the hegemony leadership would understand what they were really fighting. The human attack on the hegemony supply base succeeded beyond all expectations. Admiral Williams' fleet struck the alien facility with weapons and tactics that the defenders had never encountered. The base's automated defenses were designed to stop conventional attacks. But human quantum weapons simply phased through the shields and destroyed the systems from within. Target destroyed, reported Captain Park from her position aboard one of the strike ships. All alien vessels in the system have been eliminated or disabled. But the real prize wasn't the destruction of the base. It was the intelligence data recovered from the facility's computers. The humans now had detailed information about hegemony military deployments, supply routes, and strategic plans.
8 more.
Importantly, they had proof that other species throughout the galaxy were beginning to rebel against hegemony rule. Dr. Rodriguez analyzed the captured data from her laboratory aboard the Defiance. Look at this, she told Admiral Williams excitedly. 3 different species have launched uprisings in the past 6 months. The hegemony is fighting rebellions on multiple fronts, and they're losing. The revelation changed everything. Humanity wasn't fighting alone. They were part of a galaxy-wide resistance against hegemony oppression. The war had evolved from a struggle for Earth's survival into a battle for galactic freedom. We need to make contact with the other resistance movements, Williams decided. If we can coordinate our efforts, we might actually have a chance to defeat the hegemony completely. Word of humanity's victories spread quickly through secret channels that the hegemony couldn't monitor. Species that had suffered under alien rule for centuries began to see hope for the first time. The humans had proven that the hegemony could be defeated, and that knowledge was spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. On a dozen different worlds, resistance movements began studying captured reports of human tactics and technology. They learned about quantum weapons, adaptive shields, and guerrilla warfare techniques that the humans had developed. Most importantly, they learned that determination and creativity could overcome superior technology. Commander Dex watched his remaining ships prepare to face Admiral Corvin's inspection. The main hegemony battle fleet was arriving in the solar system, bringing hundreds of ships and the Empire's most experienced commanders. Surely this massive force would be enough to crush human resistance once and for all. But Dex had fought the humans for a year, and he knew something that Admiral Corvin didn't understand. The humans became more dangerous when they were threatened. The larger the force sent against them, the more creative and desperate their response would be. The Admiral was about to learn what Dex had discovered the hard way. Admiral Williams received intelligence reports about the approaching hegemony fleet from human spy networks throughout the galaxy. The alien force was enormous, easily 10 times larger than anything Earth had faced before. But humanity was no longer the primitive species that had first encountered hegemony ships 2 years earlier. All defense units, prepare for maximum resistance, Williams ordered. This is going to be the biggest battle in human history. The outcome will determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of freedom throughout the galaxy. Earth's orbital defenses powered up. Asteroid mining platforms converted into weapons, batteries, and hidden shipyards released their newest and most powerful vessels. Humanity had spent 2 years preparing for this moment, and they were ready to show the galaxy what humans could accomplish when pushed to their limits. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the foundations of the hegemony empire. On one side, the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. On the other, a species that had learned to turn adversity into strength and impossibility into opportunity. The battle for Earth was about to begin. Admiral Corvin's massive fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of metal and energy. Over 500 ships filled the outer solar system, the largest military force the hegemony had ever assembled for a single operation. The admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, confident that this overwhelming display of power would finally end the human rebellion. "Sir, we are detecting extensive human defensive positions throughout the system," reported his tactical officer. "They appear to have militarized every planet, moon, and asteroid belt. The entire solar system has become a fortress." Corvin studied the tactical displays with growing amazement. In 2 years, the humans had transformed their peaceful star system into a military stronghold that rivaled anything the hegemony had ever built. Orbital weapons platforms surrounded every major world. Now asteroid mining stations had been converted into heavily armed battle stations. Even the smallest moons bristled with defensive systems. Impressive for primitives, Corvin admitted. But quantity cannot overcome quality. Begin the attack. Destroy their defenses systematically and drive them from their hiding places. Admiral Tom Williams watched the alien fleets approach from the bridge of the S Liberation, humanity's newest and most powerful starship. The vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering, incorporating 3 years of captured alien technology with innovations that no other species had ever attempted. Its quantum field generators could adapt to any enemy weapon in real time. Arsenal included weapons that could turn alien ships' own systems against them. "All units, this is Liberation," Williams broadcast to the human fleet. "The enemy has come in force, just as we expected. Execute Plan Prometheus. Show them what Earth has learned about warfare." The human response began not with a direct attack, but with something the hegemony had never encountered: coordinated system-wide electronic warfare. Every human ship, station, and platform began broadcasting quantum interference signals that created cascading failures in alien computer systems. Dr. Alina Rodriguez had spent 2 years perfecting this technique. The quantum scramblers no longer just disrupted alien shields, they could rewrite alien software, turn weapons against their own ships, and cause complete system failures in hegemony vessels. It was information warfare taken to a level that the galaxy had never seen. "Phase 1 complete," Alina reported as the first wave of alien ships began experiencing catastrophic system failures. "Enemy command and control networks are severely disrupted." Beginning Phase 2. The second phase of humanity's defense was mobility. Instead of trying to hold fixed positions against superior numbers, human forces scattered throughout the solar system like schools of fish avoiding a predator. They struck at isolated alien ships, destroyed supply vessels, vanished back into the asteroid belt before retaliation could find them, Captain. Lisa Park led one of dozens of human strike squadrons. In these hit-and-run attacks, her ships moved through the complex gravitational fields around Jupiter like dancers, using the planet's radiation and magnetic fields to hide from alien sensors while launching devastating attacks on enemy formations. "Target the command ships," Park ordered as her squadron approached a group of hegemony cruisers. "Without coordination, their formations will fall apart." Quantum torpedoes phased through alien shields and exploded inside enemy ships, destroying command centers and communication arrays. In minutes, the hegemony formation was reduced to individual ships fighting without coordination or central command. Admiral Corvin watched his fleet's strength diminish with each passing hour. The humans weren't fighting like any species he had ever encountered. They used tactics that seemed to come from a dozen different military traditions, combined with technology. That should have been impossible for their level of development. "Sir, we've lost over 100 ships in the first day of battle," his aide reported. "Humans are using weapons and tactics that don't appear in any of our databases. Our commanders don't know how to counter their attacks." Corvin's confidence began to crack. The hegemony had conquered thousands of worlds using the same basic strategy: Overwhelming force applied systematically until the enemy surrendered.
At.
But the humans weren't following the script. They seemed to grow stronger and more dangerous with every attack launched against them. Commander Thex watched the battle unfold from his damaged flagship, feeling a grim satisfaction as Admiral Corvin experienced the same frustrations that had plagued him for 2 years. The humans were impossible to predict, impossible to corner, and impossible to defeat using conventional tactics. Sir Admiral Corvin is requesting all available intelligence on human capabilities, Thex's communications officer reported. Tell the Admiral that the humans have no fixed capabilities, Dex replied. They adapt and evolve with every battle. Whatever intelligence we have will be obsolete by tomorrow. The third phase of Earth's defense began on the second day of battle. Human ships that had been hiding throughout the solar system suddenly coordinated their attacks, striking at the hegemony fleet from every direction simultaneously. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies who seemed to appear from nowhere and vanish just as quickly. Admiral Williams led the main human fleet in a direct assault on Corvin's flagship. Yes, Liberation and its escort ships moved through space like predators, their adaptive shields deflecting alien weapons while their quantum cannons tore through enemy defenses. Target their flagship's main reactors, Williams ordered. If we can take out their command ship, their entire fleet will lose coordination. The battle around Corvin's flagship was fierce and chaotic. Hundreds of ships from both sides engaged. In close combat, their weapons turning the space around Earth's moon into a field of fire and debris. But the human ships had advantages that the aliens couldn't match. Better intelligence, superior tactics and weapons, specifically designed to exploit hegemony weaknesses. Dr. Rodriguez coordinated the electronic warfare assault from her position aboard the Liberation. Her quantum scramblers had evolved far beyond their original design, becoming weapons that could take control of enemy ships and turn them against their own fleet. I've gained access to the flagship's main computer, Elena reported, loaning the Liberation virus now. The virus was Elena's masterpiece, a piece of software that could spread through hegemony computer networks and free enslaved species from alien control. As it propagated through Corvin's fleet, its automated systems began broadcasting messages of freedom to every oppressed world in the galaxy. Admiral Corvin felt his empire crumbling around him as reports flooded in from across hegemony space. Human virus was causing uprisings on dozens of worlds. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were suddenly able to communicate freely and coordinate their rebellions. The carefully maintained control that kept the hegemony together was falling apart? We're receiving surrender offers from 17 different species, his communications officer reported. They're offering to join the human alliance in exchange for freedom from hegemony rule. The Admiral realized that this was no longer a battle for one star system. The humans had turned the conflict into a galaxy-wide war of liberation. Victory against his fleet encouraged more species to rebel against hegemony authority. Commander. Thex's ship was among the first to be captured by human forces. As he was brought aboard the ESS Liberation under guard, he found himself face with Admiral Williams, the human commander who had orchestrated his defeat. You have fought well, Williams said to his prisoner. But this war didn't have to happen. If your people had approached us in peace, we might have been friends instead of enemies. Dex looked at the human admiral with something approaching. Respect. My people believed that conquest was the only way to deal with other species. We never considered that others might teach us something instead. The conversation was interrupted by reports from across the galaxy. Species after species was declaring independence from the hegemony. The human example had shown them that resistance was possible, and Elena's virus had given them the tools to organize their rebellions. President Maria Santos addressed the United Galactic Assembly from Earth, speaking to representatives of over 200 species that had joined the growing alliance against hegemony oppression. The blue planet that had once been considered a primitive backwater was now the center of galactic politics. We did not choose this war, Santos told the assembly. But when it was forced upon us, we learned that freedom is worth any sacrifice. Today, we extend that freedom to every species in the galaxy. The age of hegemony tyranny is ending. The final battle of the war took place not in space, but in the courts of galactic opinion. As more species joined the human alliance, the hegemony found itself isolated and outnumbered. Their military might was useless against an enemy that had turned the entire galaxy against them. Admiral Corvin's surrender came quietly, transmitted from his damaged flagship as the last loyal hegemony forces laid down their arms. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years was finished, brought down by a species they had dismissed as primitive and harmless. Dr. Rodriguez stood in her laboratory 3 years after the first alien ships had appeared. On technologies that would help freed species rebuild their worlds, the quantum principles that had started as weapons were now being used for peaceful purposes, faster-than-light communication, advanced medical systems, and terraforming equipment. The hegemony was right about one thing, Alina reflected as she watched construction crews building a new space station. Humanity is dangerous, but we're only dangerous to those who threaten freedom. Captain Tom Williams, now Admiral of the Free World's fleet, patrolled the galaxy in ships crewed by dozens of different species. The human example had inspired others not just to fight for freedom, but to work together in ways the galaxy had never seen before. The epilogue showed Earth 5 years after first contact, transformed from a single-world civilization into the heart of a galactic alliance. Human cities reached toward the stars while alien visitors walked among them as equals. And friends, species that had been considered too primitive to matter had become the leaders of a new age of galactic cooperation. In the end, the hegemony's greatest mistake hadn't been underestimating human technology or military capability. They had underestimated the human capacity to inspire others, to turn enemies into allies, and to show the galaxy that freedom was possible for all species. They thought Earth was harmless, but they had pushed too far against a species that would never stop pushing back.